Commander Velthar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominator. Around him, his crew of tall, blue-skinned aliens worked at their stations. They had conquered dozens of worlds together. This should be just another easy victory. Target the largest asteroids, Velthar ordered. Show these humans what real power looks like. His weapons officer, a scarred veteran named Krikstal, smiled with sharp teeth. Yes, Commander. All Dreadnoughts are charging their main plasma cannons. On the main screen, huge asteroids floated peacefully in space. Some were as big as mountains. They had been there for millions of years, silent and unchanging. In a few seconds, they would be nothing but glowing dust. Fire, Velthar commanded. 12 massive beams of blue-white energy shot out from the alien ships. When they hit the asteroids, the results were spectacular. Rocks that had survived since the birth of the solar system vanished in brilliant flashes of light. The energy was so intense that it turned solid stone into gas in milliseconds. Magnificent, Velthar said, watching the destruction. Send the video to the humans. Let them see what happens to those who defy the Galactic Federation. Back on New Sol Station, Admiral Tejo watched the alien demonstration with interest rather than fear. Around him, his officers studied their screens and took notes. Impressive, said Chief Science Officer Yoon Seo. She was a small woman with thick glasses and a brilliant mind. Their plasma weapons are very powerful, much stronger than our conventional weapons. But, Tejo asked. He knew Yoon Seo well enough to hear the doubt in her voice. But they're inefficient, sir. They're using massive amounts of energy to destroy simple rocks. It's like using a nuclear bomb to kill a fly. It works, but it wastes a lot of power. Lieutenant Commander Bora looked up from her computer. Dr. Yoon Seo is right, sir. Our sensors show that each shot drained about 15% of their ship's power. If they keep firing like that, they'll need to recharge soon. Tejo nodded. This was useful information. The aliens were strong, but they were also wasteful. They relied on brute force instead of skill. Sir, Bora continued, Captain Jinne is requesting permission to move closer to the alien fleet. She wants to do more detailed scans. Granted, Tejo said. Tell her to be careful. Captain Jinne was already moving her research ship, the Busan Explorer, toward the aliens. Her ship looked harmless, just a simple vessel designed for studying space. The aliens paid no attention to it. Scanning now, Jinne reported to her science officer, a young man named Kiwan. Their shields are down right now. They think they're safe. Kiwan worked at his instruments, gathering data about the alien ships. Captain, their hull design is interesting. Very thick armor, but it's all the same material. No adaptive systems, no self-repair capability. What about their engines? Jinne asked. Fusion-powered, Kiwan replied. Very large and powerful, but also very simple. They just burn fuel and push out thrust. No exotic physics, Jinne smiled. The aliens were advanced, but they weren't as advanced as they thought they were. Their technology was powerful but basic, like using a bigger hammer instead of inventing a screwdriver. Meanwhile, on the hidden moon base, Colonel Hyunwoo received Admiral Tejo's order to begin Protocol Sunrise, Stage 1. He walked through corridors that no alien sensors could detect, past weapons and technologies that would shock the galaxy. Major So-young, he called to his second-in-command, begin moving our stealth units into position. Major So-young was a tough woman who had trained with the best special forces on Earth. She nodded and spoke into her communicator. All ghost units begin deployment. Remember, Stage 1 only. Watch and gather data. Do not engage unless directly ordered. High above the Earth's surface, invisible to alien sensors, human stealth ships began to move. They were small, fast, and completely undetectable. The aliens had no idea they were being surrounded. Back on his flagship, Commander Velthar was growing impatient. The humans had watched his demonstration, but they still hadn't surrendered. This was annoying. Send another message, he ordered. Tell them they have 30 minutes to surrender or we begin bombing their cities. The message went out across all human frequencies. Velthar expected immediate panic and surrender. Instead, he got another calm response from Admiral Tejo. Commander Velthar, we appreciate your demonstration. Very impressive weapons. However, our answer remains the same. Earth will remain independent. Velthar's blue skin darkened with rage. These primitives dare to mock me? Prepare to bombard their military stations. Start with that space station where their admiral is hiding. But as his weapon systems powered up again, strange readings began appearing on his screens. His science officer, a nervous alien named Zephyl, looked confused and frightened. "Commander," Zephyl said, his voice shaking, "I'm detecting unusual energy signatures from the human ships." "What kind of signatures?" Velthar demanded. I'm not sure, sir. They don't match anything in our database. The human ships are generating power levels that shouldn't be possible with their size." On the human destroyer Incheon's Pride, Captain Dongwu smiled as he watched the alien confusion. "Weapons Officer Park," he said to his chief gunner, "charge the main cannon to 10%, just enough to make their sensors notice." Weapons Officer Park nodded. He was a quiet man who understood weapons better than anyone in the fleet. "Charging main cannon to 10%, sir. Should I activate the containment field?" "Not yet," Dongwu replied. "Let's see how they react to just the charging sequence." On the alien flagship, alarms began ringing. Zephyl stared at his instruments in disbelief. "Sir, that human destroyer is generating a massive energy buildup. The readings don't make sense. According to our scans, their weapons should be impossible." Velthar studied the data. The human ship was tiny compared to his dreadnoughts, but it was somehow producing energy signatures that rivaled his main weapons. "This was not supposed to happen. How are they doing this?" he demanded. "I don't know, sir. Their technology appears to be based on principles we don't understand." Dr. Yoon Seo, watching from her station on New Seoul, smiled as she saw the alien confusion through their intercepted communications. "Admiral, they're trying to figure out our power systems. They can't understand how we're generating so much energy from such small ships." "Good," Taeho replied. "Let them wonder. The more confused they are, the more mistakes they'll make." On the research ship Busan Explorer, Captain Jine was getting even more interesting data. "Kiwon, look at this. Their shield generators are in fixed positions. They can't adapt to different types of attacks. And their weapons," Kiwon added, "they only fire in straight lines. No guided projectiles, no curving beams. They just point and shoot. They're fighting like it's still the Stone Age," Jine realized, "just with bigger rocks." Commander Velthar was beginning to feel something he hadn't felt in decades: uncertainty. These humans were supposed to be primitive. Their ships were small and their technology looked simple. But the energy readings from their vessels suggested something far more advanced than anything in his database. "Sir," Krikstal reported, "the human ships are moving into formation. They're not running away." "Of course they're not running," Velthar snarled. "They're too stupid to know when they're beaten. Prepare all weapons. We'll destroy them quickly and move on to bombing their planet." But as his ships prepared to fire, more strange readings appeared on his sensors. Human ships that had been invisible were suddenly appearing on his screens, then vanishing again. It was as if they could control whether his sensors could see them or not. "This is impossible," Zephyl whispered. "Stealth technology this advanced shouldn't exist. Not for a species this young." Admiral Taeho watched the alien fleet's growing confusion with satisfaction. The first stage of Protocol Sunrise was working perfectly. The aliens were starting to realize that humanity wasn't as primitive as they had thought. "Bora," he said quietly, "send a message to Colonel Hyunwoo. Tell him to prepare Stage 2. "Yes, sir," Bora replied. She paused before sending the message. "Sir, are we really going to fight them? Their ships are so much bigger than ours." Taeho looked at the main screen, where 12 massive alien dreadnoughts were preparing to attack his small fleet. Any normal person would be terrified. But Taeho had spent his whole career preparing for this moment. "Bora," he said with a calm smile. "Size isn't everything. Sometimes the smallest package contains the biggest surprise." The alien fleet moved forward, weapons glowing with deadly energy. But they were about to learn that humanity had been hiding far more than they could possibly imagine. The massive ships came out of nowhere. One moment, space around Earth was peaceful and quiet. The next moment, 12 giant alien vessels appeared near Jupiter. Each ship was so big that it could have held an entire human city inside. They were dark gray and covered with strange lights that pulsed like angry heartbeats. Admiral Taeho was drinking his morning coffee on the space station New Seoul when the alarm started screaming. He was a tall man with graying hair and calm eyes that had seen many battles. But he had never seen anything like this. "Sir, we have contact," said Lieutenant Commander Bora. She was young but smart, and her fingers moved quickly over her computer screens. 12 unknown ships. They're huge. Each one is about 12 kilometers long. Taeho set down his coffee cup. His hand was steady, but his heart was beating fast. This was the moment humans had feared and prepared for. First contact with aliens, and it did not look friendly. "Show me," he said. The main screen lit up with images from their cameras. The alien ships looked like metal mountains floating in space. They had no smooth curves like human ships. Instead, they were covered with sharp angles and weapon ports that looked like black eyes staring at Earth. "They're moving toward us," Bora reported. "Slow but steady. At this speed, they'll reach Earth in 6 hours." Teho nodded. He pressed a button on his chair. "This is Admiral Teho to all ships. Red alert. This is not a drill. Unknown alien vessels are approaching Earth. All captains report to battle stations." Across the solar system, human ships began to move. They were much smaller than the alien vessels. The biggest human ship was only 2 kilometers long. Most were less than 1 kilometer. Compared to the alien giants, they looked like toys. Captain Dongwu commanded one of these smaller ships. His destroyer was called the Inchen's Pride. It was a good ship with a good crew, but Dongwu felt very small as he watched the alien fleet approach. "Captain," said his weapons officer, "our biggest guns wouldn't even scratch those things." Dongwu studied the enemy ships. They were covered with weapon systems he had never seen before. Strange energy readings came from their hulls. These aliens had technology far beyond anything humans possessed. At least that's what it looked like. "Don't worry about their size," Dongwu told his crew. "Sometimes the biggest dog in the fight isn't the strongest." Back on New Sol Station, Admiral Teho was receiving reports from all over the solar system. Human colonies on Mars and the Moon were going into lockdown. Space miners were hiding in asteroid belts. Everyone was scared. "Sir," Bora said, her voice tight with worry, "we're receiving a transmission from the alien fleet." "Put it on speakers," Teho ordered. The voice that came through the speakers was cold and mechanical. It spoke perfect Korean, which was strange and frightening. "Primitive humans of the 3rd planet," the voice said. "I am Commander Velthar of the Nexari Empire. We represent the Galactic Federation. Your species has been discovered and judged." Teho felt a chill run down his spine. The translator was too perfect. These aliens had been watching humanity for some time. "Your technology is weak," the alien continued. "Your weapons are simple. Your ships are small and fragile. You have 2 choices. Surrender now and become servants of the Federation, or be destroyed. You have 1 hour to decide." The transmission ended. The command center was quiet except for the hum of machines. Everyone looked at Admiral Teho, waiting for orders. "Bora," Teho said calmly. "Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them the aliens are here and they're not friendly. Then get me Captain Genie on the research ship." "Yes, sir," Bora replied. Her fingers flew over her controls. Janae was the captain of the Busan Explorer, a research vessel that looked harmless but carried some of humanity's most advanced sensors. She was a short woman with bright eyes and a quick mind. "Admiral," Janae's face appeared on the screen. "I'm already scanning their ships. The readings are interesting." "What do you mean?" Teho asked. "Well, sir, they're definitely powerful. More powerful than anything we have in our regular fleet, but..." Jeannie paused, looking at her data. "They're also predictable. Their technology follows patterns we've seen before in our computer simulations." Teho raised an eyebrow. "Explain." "They're using brute force, sir. Bigger engines, bigger guns, bigger shields. It's impressive, but it's not creative. They're doing things the obvious way." On his ship, Captain Dongwu was listening to the same conversation. He smiled for the first time since the aliens arrived. "Jinae," Teho said, "I want you to keep scanning. Find out everything you can about their ships. And be careful. We don't know what their sensors can detect." "Understood." "Sir." Teho turned to Bora. "Get me a direct line to Colonel Hyunwoo on the moon base." Colonel Hyunwoo was a serious man who commanded humanity's most secret military base. It was hidden on the far side of the moon, where Earth's enemies couldn't see it. At least that's what humans hoped. "Admiral," Hyunwoo's voice came through clearly. "I've been monitoring the situation. My team is ready." "Good," Teho said. "Activate Protocol Sunrise. Stage 1 only. We need to see what these aliens can really do before we show them what we can do." "Understood, sir. Protocol Sunrise, Stage 1. My people are moving into position." Teho looked at the main screen again. The alien ships were getting closer. They moved with confidence, like predators approaching helpless prey. Commander Velthar probably thought this would be easy. Humans looked weak and scared. That was exactly what Teho wanted him to think. "Sir," Bora said, "the alien commander is sending another message." "Put it through," Teho ordered. "Humans, Velthar's voice filled the command center again. "I see your pathetic ships gathering. Do you really think you can fight us? Our smallest weapon could destroy your largest ship. Surrender now or watch your planet burn." This time, Tejo decided to answer. He pressed the communication button. "Commander Velthar," he said in a calm, steady voice. "This is Admiral Tejo of the Earth Defense Fleet. We have received your message." And Velthar's voice carried amusement and contempt. "We respectfully decline your offer," Tejo said. "Earth is not interested in joining your federation at this time." There was silence for several seconds. Then Velthar spoke again, and this time his voice was filled with anger. "Foolish humans. You choose death, very well. I will demonstrate the power of the Galactic Federation. Watch in despair." The transmission ended. On the main screen, the alien ships began to move faster. Their weapon systems started glowing with dangerous energy. "All ships," Tejo broadcast to his fleet. "Prepare for battle. Remember your training. Stay calm, stay focused, and trust in your ships and your fellow humans." Captain Dongwu gripped the arms of his captain's chair. Around him, his crew worked quickly and quietly. They were scared, but they were ready. "Sir," his navigator said, "the aliens are targeting the asteroid belt. I think they want to show us their weapons." Dongwu nodded. "Let them show off. The more we learn about their capabilities, the better we can fight them." On New Sol Station, Admiral Tejo watched the approaching alien fleet and smiled quietly. Velthar thought he was facing a primitive, helpless species. The alien commander had no idea what humans were really capable of. The first battle for Earth was about to begin, but it wouldn't be the battle that either side expected. The alien fleet moved deeper into Earth's solar system, and that's when the impossible things started happening. Commander Velthar watched his screens with growing confusion. His sensors, which could detect a grain of sand from 1,000,000 kilometers away, were acting like broken toys. Human ships appeared and disappeared at will. Energy readings jumped from normal to impossible and back again. Nothing made sense. "Zephyl," he barked at his science officer. "What's wrong with our sensors?" The nervous alien checked his instruments 3 times before answering. "Sir, the sensors are working perfectly. The humans, they're doing something to their ships that we've never seen before." On the bridge of the human stealth frigate Ghost of Jeju, Commander Subin smiled as she watched the alien confusion. Her ship was invisible to their sensors, floating just a few kilometers away from one of their massive dreadnoughts. "Engineering," she said quietly into her communicator. "Activate the phase cloak. Let's really confuse them." Her chief engineer, a brilliant woman named Hei-Wan, nodded at her station. "Phase cloak activated, Commander. We're now existing in a slightly different dimensional frequency. They won't be able to see us even if we're right in front of them." Subin's ship didn't just become invisible, it stepped partially outside normal reality. The alien sensors couldn't detect something that wasn't completely in their dimension. Back on the alien flagship, Velthar was getting angry. "The human ship just vanished completely. Not cloaked, vanished. How is this possible?" "Sir," Zephyl said, his voice shaking. "According to our readings, the ship moved into a parallel dimensional space. But that's impossible. No species has ever mastered that technology." "Apparently someone has," Velthar growled. The aliens weren't just confused by the stealth technology. Dr. Chang Ho, humanity's lead scientist for alien contact, had been studying the invaders' communications. He was a tall, calm man who understood more about the galaxy than most humans knew. Chang Ho activated a quantum communication device that the aliens didn't even know existed. His voice reached Velthar's ship instantly, without any delay from distance. "Commander Velthar," Chang Ho said politely, "this is Dr. Chang Ho of Earth. I wanted to discuss your visit to our solar system." Velthar nearly fell out of his command chair. How are you communicating with us? Our sensors show no transmission from your planet." "Quantum entanglement communication," Chang Ho explained as if he was talking about the weather. "We've been using it for about 50 years now. Very convenient for talking to our colonies in other star systems." "Other star systems?" Velthar repeated. "But our scouts reported that humans were confined to one world." "Your scouts weren't very thorough," Chang Ho replied. "We have colonies in 17 different systems. We've been exploring the galaxy for quite some time. We know about the Galactic Federation, by the way. We've been listening to your communications for decades." On his bridge, Velthar felt a cold fear growing in his stomach. Everything they had been told about humans was wrong. They weren't primitive. They weren't confined to one world. They had technology that the Federation didn't understand. Dr. Chang-ho, Velthar said, trying to sound confident. Even if you have some advanced technology, you cannot match the might of 12 dreadnoughts. Surrender now and avoid unnecessary destruction. Chang-ho's laugh was gentle but somehow terrifying. Commander, you seem to think we're afraid of you. May I ask what makes you so confident? Our ships are the most powerful in the galaxy, Velthar declared. Our weapons can destroy worlds. Our shields can stop any attack. I see, Chang-ho said thoughtfully. Tell me, Commander, what's the most dangerous enemy your Federation has ever faced? Velthar thought about it. The Krolik Empire. They had weapons that could crack planets in half. Impressive, Chang-ho agreed. We fought something like that last year. Called it the Tuesday Incident. Much more powerful than your Krolik Empire, though. It existed in 7 dimensions at once and could eat entire solar systems. That's impossible, Velthar said, but his voice was uncertain. We also had some trouble with time travelers from the future, Chang-ho continued casually. They kept trying to prevent humanity from existing. Very annoying. We had to develop weapons that work backward through time to stop them. Captain Jinne, still scanning the alien fleet from her research ship, was gathering more disturbing information. Admiral Tejo, she reported. Their ship designs are interesting. They're built to fight enemies that exist in normal space and time. No protection against dimensional attacks, temporal weapons, or reality manipulation. What do you mean? Tejo asked. Their shields are designed to stop energy and matter, Jinne explained. But they can't stop attacks that come from outside normal physics. It's like they've never fought anyone who could bend the rules of reality. Dr. Yoon Seo looked up from her analysis. Admiral, that makes sense. Most species develop technology in predictable patterns. They start with simple tools and gradually advance to more complex ones. They never skip steps. But we did skip steps, Tejo realized. Yes, sir. We were forced to. When something tries to eat your entire universe, you don't have time for gradual development. You either find impossible solutions or you die. On the alien flagship, Velthar was trying to understand what Dr. Chang-ho was telling him. You claim to have fought enemies more powerful than anything in our database. Prove it. If you insist, Chang-ho replied. Captain Subin, would you mind showing our guests a small demonstration? Commander Subin grinned on her invisible ship. With pleasure, Doctor. Hey, one. Open a micro rift to the shadow dimension. Nothing dangerous, just enough to show them what's there. Heywan's fingers moved carefully over her controls. Opening micro rift now. Duration, 5 seconds. Safety locks engaged. Space near the alien fleet suddenly cracked like broken glass. Through the crack, impossible colors leaked out. Colors that had no names because they didn't exist in normal reality. The aliens caught a glimpse of writhing shapes that hurt to look at. Geometries that folded in on themselves, and sounds that made their equipment scream warnings. 3 alien crew members fainted just from seeing the display. Others covered their eyes and begged their commander to make it stop. Close it, Subin ordered. The rift snapped shut, leaving normal space looking calm and peaceful again. What was that? Velthar demanded, his voice high with panic. That, Dr. Chang-ho explained calmly, was where we fought the Hunger of Worlds last month. It's mostly contained now, but sometimes pieces of it try to leak back into our reality. We have to send ships in there regularly to clean up the mess. You go into that place? Velthar asked. Oh yes, well, quite often actually. Captain Subin has made dozens of trips. Haven't you, Commander? 37 successful missions into shadow space, Subin reported cheerfully, and only got partially devoured twice. The medical team did a great job growing my arm back. Velthar looked around his bridge. His crew was staring at their screens in terror. These humans weren't just advanced, they were insane. They fought things that existed outside reality. They treated impossible dangers like routine maintenance. Dr. Chang-ho, Velthar said slowly. Why are you telling me this? Because, Commander, we want you to understand something important. Your Federation thinks humanity is a threat that needs to be conquered or destroyed, but you're wrong about both parts. What do you mean? We're not a threat to civilized species. We protect them. Earth isn't just our homeworld, it's a quarantine station. We keep the galaxy safe from things that would give your worst nightmares. Captain Dongwu listened to the conversation from his destroyer. He looked at his weapons officer. Park, How many Type 7 containment rounds do we have loaded? 12, sir, Park replied. Each one can hold a minor cosmic horror for about 6 months. Good. If any of those things break loose during this conversation, we'll need to contain them quickly. On New Sol Station, Admiral Tejo was watching the alien fleet's energy readings. Their confidence was dropping as fast as their power levels. Sir, Bo-Ra reported, the aliens are starting to panic. Their formation is getting sloppy. They're finally realizing what they're dealing with, Tejo said. Dr. Chang Ho is doing excellent work. The scientist's voice continued to reach the alien fleet. Commander Velthar, may I ask you something? In all your conquests, have you ever encountered a species that developed technology specifically to fight cosmic horrors? No, Velthar admitted. Then you've never seen what desperation can create. Humans didn't advance gradually, Commander. We were thrust into a universe where impossible things wanted to destroy reality itself. We had to become impossible ourselves just to survive. And now, Velthar asked, now we stand guard. We fight the things that lurk between dimensions. We stop time paradoxes from unraveling causality. We prevent cosmic entities from consuming inhabited worlds. We do this so that civilized species like yours can sleep peacefully at night. Velthar's science officer looked up from his instruments. Sir, I'm detecting more energy signatures. The human ships are powering up systems that don't appear to follow the laws of physics. Because they don't, Dr. Chang Ho said, somehow hearing the conversation. Laws are just suggestions when you're fighting for the continued existence of reality. Commander Velthar was about to order his fleet to retreat when space itself began to tear apart near Jupiter. At first it looked like a small crack in reality, just a thin line of darkness against the stars. But the crack grew wider, and something impossible began to emerge from it. The alien sensors screamed warnings as readings went completely insane. What is that? Velthar demanded, staring at his screens in horror. His science officer Zephyl was frantically checking his instruments. Sir, it's a ship. But it's emerging from subspace, from a dimension that shouldn't exist. The first ship to emerge was unlike anything in the galactic database. It looked partly mechanical and partly alive, with a hull that seemed to pulse like a heartbeat. Strange lights moved under its surface like blood flowing through veins. As it came fully into normal space, it seemed to adjust and adapt, its shape flowing like liquid metal. Captain Jae-sung commanded this vessel, the Soul's Fury. He stood on a bridge that looked more like the inside of a living creature than a machine. The walls rippled softly and the controls grew from the floor like strange plants. Emergence successful, reported his navigation officer, a calm woman named Da-un. All systems adapting to local reality parameters. Good, Jae-sung said. He was a quiet man with eyes that had seen too much. Begin Phase 2 emergence. Signal the Admiral that we're ready. Behind Soul's Fury, more ships began appearing, but these weren't emerging from subspace. They were phasing in from parallel dimensions, materializing from folded time, and stepping sideways from spaces that existed between reality's cracks. Admiral Eun-ji commanded the largest group of these impossible vessels. Her flagship, the Busan's Wrath, existed in 7 dimensions at once. From the aliens' perspective, it looked like a ship-shaped hole in space, outlined by stars that shouldn't be visible. All ships report ready, announced her communications officer, a young man named Wu Jin. The dimensional anchors are holding steady. Excellent, Admiral Eun-ji replied. She was a small woman with silver hair and a smile that made cosmic horrors nervous. Begin tactical positioning. Remember, we want to surround them without making them panic too much. On the alien flagship, alarms were ringing constantly. The impossible ships kept appearing from nowhere, using technology that violated every known law of physics. Sir, Zephyl reported, his voice shaking. I count 47 human vessels, but the readings, they don't make sense. Some of them exist in multiple dimensions. Others seem to be moving through time at different speeds. Velthar watched the human ships take positions around his fleet. They moved like living things, flowing through space in patterns that hurt his brain to follow. How many different types of impossible technology do these humans have? He muttered. As if to answer his question, Commander Wonho's destroyer Taekwondo demonstrated something new. Wonho was a martial artist who had learned to apply fighting techniques to space combat. His ship moved like a dancer, flowing around obstacles that weren't there. Target that large asteroid, Wonho ordered his weapons officer, a precise man named Kyung-min. Sir, which weapon system? Kyungmin asked. Use the singularity projector. Minimum setting. Kyungmin nodded and pressed a series of controls. A small dark sphere shot out from the taekwondo. When it hit the asteroid, something amazing happened. The rock didn't explode or melt. It simply folded in on itself, becoming smaller and smaller until it vanished into a tiny black hole. Then the black hole evaporated in a flash of energy, leaving nothing behind. Clean work, Wonho approved. No debris, no radiation, no mess. On the alien flagship, Veltar's crew stared in stunned silence. They just created a controlled black hole, Zephyl whispered. And then they made it disappear safely. That's impossible. Even we can't do that. More human ships continued to arrive, each one stranger than the last. Captain Mi-young commanded the research vessel Hallison Discovery, which looked normal until you realized it was bigger on the inside than the outside. Somehow it contained laboratories the size of cities within a hull only a kilometer long. Dr. Sang-min, Mi-young called to her chief scientist. Are our guests ready? Dr. Sang-min checked his instruments. He was studying things that most humans preferred not to think about. The dimensional entities are secured and ready for controlled manifestation. Should I begin the demonstration? Not yet, Mi-young replied. Let's see how they react to the fleet first. Admiral Taeho watched the alien confusion from his command station. The real Earth Defense Fleet was finally revealing itself, and the aliens were getting their first glimpse of humanity's true capabilities. Bo-Ra, he said. What's the aliens' power status? Their weapons are charged, but their formation is falling apart, Bo-Ra reported. They're trying to figure out how to fight enemies that can attack from multiple dimensions at once. And they can't, Dr. Yoon Seo added. Their technology is purely three-dimensional. They have no defense against attacks from hyperspace, subspace, parallel timelines, or folded reality. Captain Jae-sung's voice came through the communications system. Admiral Taeho, this is Seoul's Fury. We're detecting massive stress in the alien ships' hulls. I don't think their materials can handle exposure to our dimensional fields. Understood, Taeho replied. All ships maintain safe distance. We don't want to accidentally destroy them just by being nearby. This was a real concern. Human ships that operated in multiple dimensions created fields that could tear apart normal matter. The alien vessels designed for ordinary space were like paper boats in a hurricane. Commander Velthar was trying to understand what he was facing. His sensors showed human ships that existed in impossible places, using weapons that shouldn't work, powered by energy sources that made no sense. Sir, his tactical officer Krixtal reported, we're completely surrounded, but the humans aren't attacking. They're just watching us. Why aren't they destroying us? Velthar wondered aloud. Dr. Chang Ho's voice answered him through the quantum communicator. Because, Commander, we don't destroy people unless we have to. We're not conquerors. We're protectors. Protectors of what? Velthar asked. Of reality itself. Captain Mi-young, would you mind showing our guests what we protect the galaxy from? On the Halasan Discovery, Mi-young nodded to Dr. Sang-min. Begin controlled manifestation. Safety Protocol 7. Duration, 30 seconds maximum. Space near the alien fleet began to ripple. Something was trying to push through from another dimension. Something that reality didn't want to let in. The human ships immediately formed a containment pattern, their combined fields holding the intrusion stable. A single tentacle emerged from the dimensional rift. It was the size of a building and covered with eyes that looked in directions that didn't exist. The mere sight of it made several aliens collapse, their minds unable to process what they were seeing. This is a very small piece of something called the hunger between stars, Dr. Chang Ho explained calmly. We fought the main body of it last year. It took 6 months and cost us 12 cities, but we managed to contain it in a pocket dimension. The tentacle reached toward the alien ships, but human weapons fired from 7 different dimensions at once. The cosmic horror was pushed back into its prison and the rift sealed shut. This is what we do, Dr. Chang Ho continued. Every day, every night, forever. We fight things that want to devour your civilization and mine. We stand guard at the edges of reality so that normal people can live normal lives. Admiral Yoonji's voice joined the conversation. Commander Velthar, your Federation has probably never encountered anything like this because we've been stopping them before they could reach civilized space. How long? Velthar asked weakly. How long have we been protecting the galaxy? Admiral Taeho answered. About 300 years. Ever since we made first contact with beings from outside reality. We tried to join the galactic community peacefully, Dr. Chang Ho added. But when we explained what we were fighting, most species refused to believe us. They thought we were making up stories to seem important. So we stayed hidden, Admiral Yunji said. We built our defenses in secret dimensions. We fought our wars in spaces between spaces. We kept the galaxy safe without asking for thanks or recognition. Captain Wanho's voice came through the communication. But now you've forced us to reveal ourselves. You came here planning conquest, so we had to show you what you were really dealing with. Velthar looked around his bridge. His crew was staring at the human fleet with a mixture of terror and awe. These beings didn't just have advanced technology. They had weapons and allies from outside normal reality. What do you want from us? He asked finally. Nothing, Admiral Tejo replied. Go home. Tell your Federation that Earth is under protection. Not your protection, our protection. We'll keep guarding this part of the galaxy whether you like it or not. And if we refuse? Velthar asked, though he already knew the answer. Captain Jae-sung's ship pulsed with organic light. Then you'll join the cosmic horrors in the containment dimensions. Forever. The alien commander realized he had only one choice left. But first he had to know one more thing. These entities you fight, are they really that dangerous? Dr. Chang Ho's answer was simple and terrifying. Commander, if just one of them reached civilized space, your entire Federation would be consumed in less than a week. Commander Velthar stood on his bridge, surrounded by impossible human ships, and made the hardest decision of his military career. All ships, he announced to his fleet, power down weapons, shields to minimum. We're standing down. His tactical officer, Krikstal, looked shocked. Sir, we can't surrender to primitives. They're not primitives, Velthar said quietly. They're something far more dangerous than we ever imagined. And they're offering to protect us instead of destroying us. I suggest we listen. Admiral Tejo's voice came through the communication system, calm and professional. A wise choice, Commander. Dr. Sang-woo, please join us for the formal negotiations. Dr. Sang-woo was humanity's chief diplomat, a patient man who had spent years learning to communicate with beings that didn't always exist in the same reality. He materialized on Velthar's bridge, not transported there, but simply stepping from one dimension into another. Several alien crew members reached for their weapons, but Velthar stopped them with a gesture. Commander, Dr. Sang-woo said politely, thank you for agreeing to discuss this peacefully. I know this situation must be very confusing for you. Confusing is an understatement, Velthar replied. We came here expecting to conquer a primitive world. Instead, we find guardians fighting cosmic horrors in the spaces between realities. Yes, it does take some getting used to, Dr. Sang-woo agreed. Please sit. We have much to discuss. As they talked, the human fleet maintained its positions around the aliens. But something strange was happening. The alien ships, which had been suffering stress damage from exposure to dimensional fields, were starting to repair themselves. Commander, Zephyl reported in amazement. Our hull fractures are healing. The radiation damage is disappearing. How is this possible? Captain Mi-young answered from her research vessel. We're projecting a stabilization field around your ships. We can't have you falling apart before you get home safely. Dr. Sang-woo opened a small device that projected a holographic map of the galaxy. But this wasn't any map the aliens had ever seen. It showed normal space, but also the hidden dimensions where humanity fought its secret war. This is what the galaxy really looks like, he explained. Red zones marked areas where cosmic horrors had been contained. Blue zones showed where human ships patrolled the barriers between dimensions. Yellow zones marked places where reality itself was still healing from past battles. Velthar studied the map in growing amazement. You're everywhere. Hidden bases, patrol routes, containment facilities. How did our scouts miss all of this? Because it exists in dimensions your sensors can't detect, Dr. Sang-woo replied. We've been very careful to stay invisible to normal galactic civilization. But why? Velthar asked. With this level of technology, you could have conquered the entire galaxy centuries ago. Dr. Sang-woo's expression grew sad. Commander, we tried to make peaceful contact with the Federation once, about 200 years ago. We sent ambassadors to warn your people about the cosmic threats, and what happened? They were accused of spreading panic and fear. Your government decided we were terrorists trying to destabilize galactic civilization. They sent a fleet to destroy us. Velthar felt a chill. What did you do? We defended ourselves. But we also saved every single member of that Federation fleet from the cosmic horror that was attracted by their weapons fire. They never knew how close they came to being devoured by something from outside reality. Admiral Yunji's voice joined the conversation. After that, we decided it was better to protect the galaxy in secret. Civilized species sleep better when they don't know what's hunting them in the dark. On his destroyer, Captain Wanho was monitoring the alien fleet's reactions. Admiral Tejo, their stress levels are dropping. I think they're starting to understand. Good, Tejo replied. Commander Kyung-ho, any sign of cosmic horror activity in this area? Commander Kyung-ho commanded the stealth carrier Dokdo's shield, which served as an early warning system for dimensional intrusions. All quiet, sir. But I'm detecting some minor reality distortions near the edge of the system, probably attracted by all the dimensional energy we've been using. Take a team and clean it up before it becomes a problem, Tejo ordered. Yes, sir. Just a routine patrol. This casual conversation about hunting cosmic horrors as routine patrol made the aliens realize just how different humanity was from every other species in the galaxy. Dr. Sang-woo continued his explanation to Commander Velthar. The truth is, Commander, we need your help. Our help? Velthar was surprised. But your technology is far beyond ours. In fighting cosmic horrors, yes, but we're terrible at normal civilization. We've spent so long preparing for impossible battles that we've forgotten how to do simple things like trade, diplomacy, and peaceful exploration. Dr. Sang-woo gestured to the holographic map. Look at these areas marked in green. These are regions where cosmic threats have been completely eliminated. They're safe now, but they're empty, perfect for Federation colonies. You're offering us territory? Velthar asked. We're offering partnership. You help us maintain normal galactic civilization. We keep protecting everyone from the things that lurk in the dark corners of reality. Captain Young-suk, commander of the science vessel Jeju's Hope, joined the conversation. We also have technologies that could benefit your civilization. Medical advances developed to treat impossible injuries. Materials that exist in multiple dimensions at once. Energy sources that tap into the fundamental forces of creation. But, Dr. Sang-woo added, we won't share the weapons. Those are for fighting cosmic horrors only. The galaxy doesn't need more ways to destroy itself. Velthar was beginning to see the bigger picture. You want the Federation to become your public face. Handle normal diplomatic relations while you fight the secret war. Exactly. And in return, you get protection from threats you never even knew existed, plus access to technologies that will advance your civilization by thousands of years. Commander Kyung-ho's voice came through the communication system. Admiral, we've got a problem. The reality distortions were bigger than I thought. Something's trying to break through near Mars. Immediately, the casual atmosphere changed. Human ships began moving with deadly purpose. Weapons that had been hidden powered up, ready to face whatever was coming. Federation ships, Admiral Tejo announced. Please maintain your current positions. We have a situation to handle. Velthar watched in fascination as the human fleet transformed from a peaceful negotiation force into something designed to fight impossible enemies. Ships that had looked strange but harmless suddenly bristled with weapons that hurt to look at. Near Mars, space began to crack. Something vast and hungry was trying to push through from a dimension where matter had different rules. The human response was immediate and overwhelming. Captain Jae-sung's living ship Soul's Fury reached the breach first. Its organic hull pulsed as it channeled energies that existed outside normal physics. Behind it, Admiral Yunji's multidimensional flagship began weaving reality back together like a cosmic seamstress. Containment field established, reported Captain Myung from the Hallison Discovery. The entity is partially manifested, initiating standard banishment protocols. To the aliens watching, it looked like the humans were fighting empty space, but their sensors could detect the massive energies being exchanged, the impossible weapons being fired, and the gradual stabilization of reality itself. It's over, announced Commander Wanho, entity banished back to its origin dimension. Reality integrity restored to 97%. Not bad for a Tuesday. The human fleet returned to their positions around the alien ships as if nothing had happened. As you can see, Dr. Sang-woo said calmly, this is what we do. Every day, every night, forever. The question is, do you want to help us or do you want to pretend it's not happening? Velthar looked around his bridge. His crew was staring at him, waiting for his decision. They had come here as conquerors and discovered they were children playing with toys in a universe full of monsters. Dr. Sangwoo, he said finally, I think the Galactic Federation would be very interested in this partnership. Excellent, the human diplomat replied. Captain Youngsuk will accompany your fleet back to Federation space. She'll begin sharing some of our basic technologies immediately. Medical scanners that can detect dimensional contamination, shield generators that work in multiple realities, communication systems that function across parallel timelines. And the weapons? Velthar asked. When your people are ready, Admiral Tejo answered. When you truly understand what we're fighting and why. Until then, we'll keep standing guard. As the alien fleet prepared to depart, Velthar realized that first contact hadn't gone at all as anyone had expected. His people had come seeking conquest and instead found protectors. Humanity had revealed themselves not as a threat to galactic civilization, but as its hidden guardians. The universe was far stranger and more dangerous than anyone in the Federation had imagined. But it was also safer, because somewhere in the darkness between the stars, humans stood watch against the things that wanted to devour everything. Commander Velthar's ships began their journey home, carrying news that would change the galaxy forever. Behind them, the human fleet faded back into hidden dimensions, returning to their eternal vigil.